Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to today's Development Management Review Committee, the first committee meeting of the new year, and a happy new year to all. The meeting will be held using the Council's hybrid protocol. People who are remote, if I can ask you to use your electronic hands, and elected members who are remote, please keep your camera on at all times. Members in the chamber can use their virtual hands or actual hands. The meeting will be recorded and broadcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. Moving on to the agenda, items 1, apologies and substitutions.
Thank you, Convener. No apologies.
Okay, move on to declarations of interest, statements of transparency. And I'm not seeing any there at all, so we'll move on to item 3, the minute of the previous meeting. That was the meeting held on the 3rd of December. Is that meeting minute okay? Okay, that's thanks for that. So we'll move on to item 4, the land at Flock Loans in Invergowrie, and ask Mr. Christensen just to do a short summary of slides on the location which we visited this morning.
Thank you, Convener. Hopefully you can see the slides. I can confirm that I have had no previous involvement in the application and that I have no conflict of interest relative to the case, applicant or any interested party. The case in front of members of the Dmrc seeks review of the refusal of an application for planning permission in principle for the erection of 2 dwelling houses on land at Flock Loans in Invergowrie. The application site measures approximately 3,550 square metres and is located west of an existing grouping of 10 residential properties. The proposed site is garden ground, and this is confirmed in the planning application form. The proposed site plan indicates access will be taken from the public road to the north and shows the indicative positioning of the internal access track and proposed plots. The plans also show that some trees will be removed, but no specific details in the form of a tree survey, root protection zone, or canopy spreads have been submitted to provide further detail. The proposed dwellings would be connected to the public water supply network, and that foul drainage would be directed to septic tank and soakaway, and surface water drainage would be dealt with by SUDS. Looking at the slides, the first slide shows the location plan of Flock Loans relative to the surrounding area. The area is close. The site is close to the boundary between Angus Council and Perthink and Ross Council. Site plan shown in red shows the area of ground that's under consideration, and to the east of that, this is the red line area, is the existing houses. Close by White Oak House and the Stackyard House are the 2 closest properties. The indicative layout plan shows the 2 proposed plots and the proposed access from the ZU33 local road. An aerial view of the site again just shows the red line area of the application site, and it shows that there are a number of trees within the site and on the edge of the site, and it shows the location of it relative to the existing properties at Flock Loans. The northern and western site boundaries are shown in front of us. It shows again the trees, the mature trees on the northern boundary, and the western boundary, this edge of the site shown here with the post and wire fence. The proposed site access is proposing to use the access that's currently there in terms of there's obviously a gate there, and this is the ZU330 local road which runs to the north of this proposed site. Proposed internal driveway and access to plots is shown in front of us. There's already a driveway there, and this would be utilised to access the plots. Indicative positioning for proposed plot 1 is shown in front of us. Shows the area of garden ground and the trees that are also located within the site and on the edge of the site. This is the northern boundary where the larger trees are. Indicative position of proposed plot 2 again shows the area of garden ground that's being under consideration, and again shows a number of hedges and trees with a post and wire fence of the western boundary beyond just where the cursor is shown. Just for context, this is White Oak House. This is the closest neighbouring property on the edge, the eastern edge of the existing access to the existing properties. This access is shown to be utilised as part of the proposed development. Again, there's in effect there's 2 rows of houses behind plot clones, and this is again looking back at White Oak House, looking north towards the other properties which align the road of the ZU330. And the old Stackyard House is the most southerly of the properties at Flock Loans, and again is adjacent to the proposed site. Thank you, Convener. That concludes the presentation.
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Christensen. Are there any questions for Mr. Christensen on his presentation? Can I just clarify the additional information that we were given? That was the sort of drawing of the garden ground, etc. Okay, I guess my question for elected members: are you happy to accept that additional information?
We agreed that last time, Convener. We agreed that at the last meeting. We agreed that at the last meeting.
Yeah. I think I'm just being reminded we agreed that last time, so that's grand. Okay, any questions for any other officers? Could I maybe ask Mr. Barnes maybe to give us a bit more thought about the road situation, because I think when we visited on site this morning there was a bit of discussion about that. Maybe give us your views.
Thanks, Convener. Yes, so the Roads Authority had recommended conditions with respect to provision of sight lines. The Flockloans Road is a 60-mile-an-hour road, so that would require sight lines of 2.4 by 215 metres, which would involve the removal of a substantial number of the trees fronting the site. There may also be issues with access to the site from the west, as the forward visibility to vehicles approaching from the east is obstructed by the vertical crest in the road. Those are the main issues with respect to sight lines and road safety.
Okay, thanks very much for clarifying that. Okay, do elected members feel they've got enough information now to determine the case? Yes. Okay, everyone feel they've got enough information? Okay, we'll just go around the table in the usual way, and as the local member, we'll ask Councillor Doran first for her views.
Okay, thank you. The site visit this morning was very informative, and on this one, I'm going to agree with the conclusions that the officers have come to already. I don't believe it complies with the MPF policies 5 and 9 as noted. Although this is flagged as agricultural land, it's not being used as agricultural land, but it is still greenfield land. And the conditions of the policy state that the housing can only be built when it's essential, so that the land can be returned to the same state, and that wouldn't be the case if housing was to be built on this site. I had similar concerns about the sight lines and access to the property as well when we saw it in person today. And I just wanted to state, I think there's two things that there are other accesses to properties in that same area which are less than ideal, but that doesn't mean that we should then approve the new ones that aren't ideal. And also the fact that it would need that substantial tree removal, I think it then actually would cause issues with compliance with policy number 3 for NPF4, which is relating to biodiversity and making sure that you're upholding that on the site as well. But we haven't got any assessment of that in the application we've got at the minute. So I'm just going to say that I agree with the conclusions of the officers that have been made so far.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Doran. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Convener. Yes, I agree with a lot of Councillor Doran's comments. They're very similar, and I would agree that the officers have got this right, so I would be refusing this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Nicholl.
Thank you, Convener. I am a bit of an opposite. I would disagree with the officers in their statement that it's prime agricultural ground. I would think it's been a long time since it's been agricultural ground and has been used for a lot of years as another purpose. But on site visit today, the various items that the officers put forward to us, we were shown that the majority of the objections would be upheld, and I would not pass this today.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Nicholl. Yes, I guess, like Councillor Nicholl, I went today with my mind, I suppose, not made up one way or the other, and I think the site visit was very useful. I would agree with Councillor Nicholl that I wouldn't regard it as agricultural ground. Clearly, there's an issue with NPF4 policy 17. However, for me, the deciding factor was the road safety issues. Access from the more westerly entrance to that site, you would, as I think Councillor Doran has said, we'd have to remove all the trees to get a reasonable sight line, and you've still got the problem with the brow of the hill, which is where the existing access is. So you're in a better position to see cars coming along that road, and as Mr. Barnes has told us, it is a 60-mile-per-hour speed limit road, which obviously means that sight lines need to be better than they are. So I would agree with the officers. I would add the road safety argument as quite a strong one, and certainly for me that tipped the balance into refusing the appeal. So I think we're all agreed on this one. We don't need to go through a vote. Just to say that the application 24/00264/PPPL, the appeal is refused for the reasons detailed in the report. And I think that's all today. Thanks for your attendance, and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Can you stop the live stream, please, John?